Hello, you guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is Christabel, the original Power Ranger princess, but on this channel, I'm Princess Power Ranger. I actually have a reason as to why it's been a hot minute since I've uploaded a video. You guys, I am finally home back in Africa. I literally have spent like almost a year and a half in Southeast Asia. But we are not here to talk about that. We're not here to talk about me, although this video does kind of, I somehow inject myself into it. So I wanted to make hopefully what will be a short video. And what I mean by short video, I'm hoping it won't go over 22 minutes. Of my interpretation of the dark-sided Cancer female. Now, I started doing the dark-sided zodiac series starting from Aries. I did the dark-sided male, dark-sided female, and I moved all the way up into Cancer. Now, please note that in these videos, I'm only talking about the worst, the darkest expressions of Cancer female energy. In no way am I saying that all Cancer females are like this, but what I am saying is the ones who tend to be more dark-sided, that evil ass, bitch at work, who's your manager, your narc grandmother who hoards all the family's money, I'm talking about them. Now, doing research for this video was kind of confronting because I'm Cancer. And just to be 100% honest with you guys, I think all of us at our worst, we represent the worst parts of any zodiac. And girl, when I went into this zodiac, bruv, I went radio silenced. I was like, I'm not about to expose all my secrets like that. But I really, really wanted to do this one. So, Cancer is the star sign that is born between the 21st of June all the way up until the 22nd of July. Sometimes it starts on the 22nd of June. Actually, it starts on the 22nd of June. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So it starts from the 22nd of June all the way to the 22nd of July. Now, there's often confusion about the cusp dates because I know it sometimes changes, believe it or not, based on the year and the exact time that you're born. But I digress. Cancer is your mother. She is the mother of the zodiac sign, ruled by emotion, sensitivity, sometimes hypersensitivity, actually always hypersensitivity. They are the sign that is ruled by the moon. And like the moon, the moon is always changing. Sometimes it's half, it's full, it's a lot of things. And Cancer women are this. Now, one way that you can know that a Cancer is done with your ass, that a Cancer literally, literally hates you, is how they communicate with you. More often than not, Cancer love bombs you, either with acts, with words. They're just clingy with that suffocating energy. And it's usually very demure and very loving and very nurturing. Now, the minute that switches up and they start speaking to you like you're a runaway slave, and it goes on for about a week to 2 weeks to a month, they hate you at that point. Cancer would only stop nurturing you once they are done with you. But because Cancer is ruled, Cancer is kind of like the mother of the zodiac. Your mom will never stop talking to you. If she gets angry, often they are slow to anger. It takes them a long time to actually get to the point of actual anger. I mean, they're always sad, but to get to actual anger does take a long time and an even longer time to forgive. This is not a forgiving sign. They are not Aries, like bitches who are quick to anger and quick to forgive. No, it takes them a long time and then it takes them their whole lifetime. Their whole, they'll be talking about what you did back in 92, even when they're about to go meet the Lord. They never get over stuff. So when we're talking Cancer, really they are the crybaby of the zodiac. I remember growing up, my nickname was Turn On Taps because I could just sprinkle it up like with the best of them. Hashtag Farrah Fawcett. So hyper sensitive. The interesting thing is with Cancer women, they have this beautiful way of making everything about themselves. Because they're so highly emotional and naturally intuitive, y'all be watching a movie about, I don't know, like The Color Purple, and then you'll listen to little Cancer over here sniffling, like, that is what they do. That is what it's always about them. They are centered, they're at the center of every emotion. I love that for us. Um, they're very, very moody, extremely moody. And on the dark end, I would almost say that they just harbor this sinister, um, kind of miserable energy, waking up sighing, waking up just depressed because they're ruled by an irrational, um, an irrational sense of sensitivity. Their greatest fear is that they're too much for people. They're too much emotionally. When people are like, you're too sensitive, you're not going to make it in this life. That was the advice always given to little Cancer kids. It's like, you're not going to cope here with the rest of us, girl. Like, stop all that. Stop all that. Emotionally needy, lacks all objectivity. Now, because they're so emotional and they live in the past, they live in the past. I know they talk about being nostalgic and all of that. That's the healed Cancer. If a Cancer has any history of like dysfunction in their background, oh baby, you you're gonna be dealing with a lot with this person. Now she can be extremely uptight, cannot take a joke, cannot take a joke. You don't joke with these girls. They just take themselves way too seriously. And it also moves into like when they have spicy time, but we're going to get that into that a little later. Now, when Cancer women are unhealed and toxic or at their worst, often they're cheapskates. This does not mean that they're broke or don't have money. She'll look a mess, have, pancake face, too much foundation, too much blush. Their eyes will open up. There'll be too much eyeliner. The hair will be a mess. Cancer and the big hair. My God. Um, but because dark-sided Cancer is a cheapskate, she can often be very, very stingy when it comes to things that she highly values, like food. Because them big, them big beluga bitches be eating. They can be very, very selfish, extremely selfish, emotionally selfish. The first one to cry, but the first one to throw a punch. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Um, they are so clingy with their friendships. They are so clingy with their relationships. Cancer, you have to look at it like this. They don't like find love. They catch love. They catch a man. Especially if she is, like heterosexual Cancer woman. Baby, her whole personality, her whole reason for being alive is so she can get that man. and she clings onto it much like a crab and will never let go. And they just want to get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper up into your, like, I don't know, like your organs. Cancer is ruled by tenacity. And basically, what tenacity is, once you don't let go of an idea, you obsess and you have laser vision focus. Now, Cancer women or Cancer feminine energy is all about catching a man. It's all about being with a guy. It's all about like pulling that guy in. Everything in their aesthetic is about drawing male attention. We look at a Cancer woman like Pamela Anderson. I love Pamela Anderson. She is my favorite messy, trashy, dirty looking, like, Cancer girl. She has the big hair, or she used to have the big hair. Way too much blush upon her face. And the traditional pancake face that all us Cancer women love. Um, and despite the fact that she had money, how she dressed was it's just gaudy. It's just too much. And it's all about like pulling male attention. Another Cancer woman who I love, Miss Lil Kim. No matter what people say, that woman. Lil Kim. Little Kim used to show up at MTV Music Awards hat naked. She was so schmexually vulgar. Like, it was just to the extreme. She just took, like, I know, like, all female, like, rappers, sing about, like, busting it wide open, like, but Kim, oh my gosh. But I love her Cancer South. I'm gonna go deeper into Kim because she a messy one. They also smother people like no one's business. You drown in their waters of love. But can you call it love when they don't love themselves? I mean, they're way too touchy-feely. They fidget on you. They be touching. They trying to fix you. Like, they nitpick. They're fussy. They're just never at peace. Cancer is ruled by the stomach, which explains, why they get stomach ulcers, which explains why when they get anxiety, it's usually up here in the stomach, which explains why they hoard food, because ruled by the stomach. Girl. Excuse me, girl. So Cancer, dark-sided Cancer, extremely insecure. Extremely insecure. You have to check in on her crazy ass every day. Love bomb her until she passes, until the Lord comes to pick her up, because they stay being that needy. Think of Princess Diana, who I love, but she had her dark-sided Cancer moments. I mean, come on now. She is extremely fearful. Extremely fearful. They are never at peace. One of the most negative signs you'll ever come across. Because they just understand emotional depth. Really only Pisces and Scorpio can, like, get with them in that whole melodrama. But what Cancer female usually does, when she feels hurt, which is basically all the time, somebody eats a sandwich, she cries. It's somebody's birthday and not hers, she cries. Or, like, she'll find a reason to cry. A lot of it is legitimate, but a lot of it is imaginary. She will often, retreat into her room so that she can lick her imaginary wounds. Because you have to remember, for her, it's not just what happened in this one moment. It's the pattern of what's been happening and the fear of what could happen. So, yeah, she's always in the past. And how she, like, goes back into herself. In arguments, she might clam up, especially if she is in an argument or a disagreement with somebody she's not ready to lose yet. Now, if she's ready to lose your ass, she doesn't clam up. She starts hurting people, mainly with her mouth. Extremely standoffish. standoffish. Like, they can be so standoffish. Like, and a lot of people are like, oh, they're shy, they're shy. Girl, girl, little Kim with her, like, was that shyness? If you say so. But yeah, she'll just retreat in her room and she'll only come out when she feels comfortable. Now, she's all about imagination, and this is why Cancer females, they get along with their Pisces besties. Because Cancer, in the darkest version, she can literally be a little kid in the body of a full-grown adult. Think Betty Draper from Mad Men series. Betty Draper was a child in the body of a woman. And they are stuck in imagination, which is why they get along with Pisces. Pisces is all about that creativity, all about their creativity. But because they're stuck in their imagination, they will literally make mountains out of molehills. Something that, well, you and I, well, probably not me because I'm a Cancer and I'm a deep one at that. Something that you probably would be like, bitch, I'm gonna be okay. Cancer sees all of the problems. They just get sucked into that. And because of that, they're an extremely difficult friend to deal with. Everything will hurt them. Everything, everything. Now, I talked about Little Kim and I talked about Pamela Anderson. They represent the side of Cancer that, like, I definitely understand because I was certainly this person. Cancer women are extremely thirsty for men. They are the thirstiest. If you thought Ariel from The Little Mermaid, who is covered, surrounded by a body of water, was thirsty for a man, no. Cancer women take that to the extreme. Like, the thing is, for a Cancer woman, they want, love. They want those arms that will open wide, somewhere where they will be safe and wanted. And they associate security with being with a man. So being with a guy is their highest priority. And you look at Little Kim and, yeah, Pamela Anderson, they could have been had men, but they're so, like, irrational with their pursuit of finding men, and they burn these guys out. Like, Cancer females expect way too much, way too early in the relationship. They make a lot of emotional demands on their partners. And you have to realize if she's not in a relationship, she's looking for a relationship. And when she's in one, her man is the center of her life, and she talks about nothing else. Now, if she has kids, she'll talk about the kids and the man. But she's the type to let a new man come up into her house and run everything. And it's often sad when they're very narcissistic or they're super, super toxic, in that they will shape their whole persona around what a man desires. So they can be the perfect blow up, doll and stuff. She can't live without a man. She can't shut up about her man. And what's annoying often about Cancer women, and I've had this frustration with other Cancer girls, is they are so demure. They are so, like, sweet and gentle with men. Their voices straight up start changing. Then they start batting their eyelids. And they have, like, really pretty eyes. Cancer and Scorpio together have pretty eyes. Gemini has darting eyes. Gemini has darting eyes. But Cancer has these beautiful, beautiful doe-like eyes, which makes them look kind of dopey and stupid. And they do come across as hella stupid when they're around men. Because they really go into reflecting what they believe the ideal version of femininity is. It's all about catching that man. Don't you dare be confused or think anything else. It's always about catching that man. So they'll be demure with men, but she will be a bitch on wheels with other women. Like, she is queen of switch up. She'll go from being this hard gangster, like, bottom bitch, kind of like, I will fight you, or being like the manager Karen who backstabs, who's involved in embezzlement. We see you, who steals from her job. Yes, yeah, yes, especially if they're in management or they're dealing with the books. Oh, if they're toxic, they're like putting some of that schmontete in that pocket. But the minute a man comes around, suddenly it's this switch up, and you're like, girl, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't come up in here and like do that. Cancers ruled by the stomach, which means they eat too much. They eat too much because they're fearful. That's why they hoard food. So Cancer is ruled by the stomach. They're also ruled by the moon, which is ever changing, emotional, which affects how much they consume. I want you to think about Jessica Simpson. And if you she's a Cancer female. Remember when she did These Boots Are Made for Walking and her body was like fire, fire. Like her body was 2004, 2005 goals. We all wanted that body. But the minute, like she got her man and she was like ready to have babies and stuff, Jessica showed us she's from the South. She had some of that good eating. She had some of that, what they call that there? That chicken of the sea. That I know is fish, but is a chicken. She had that chicken of the sea. Mmm, that tuna. They eat too much. They're naturally like voluptuous, kind of like you think of Little Kim, but you know she eats too much, girl. Missy Elliott is another beluga whale, Cancer female that we love. I love Missy. She a pain in your rectum. And they're nasty. Ugh, they are nasty. Who else is a fat ass Cancerian? Camilla Parker Bowles. Um, you know she be eating too much. They're hoarders. They can hoard food. Motivated by fear of hunger, fear of poverty. Now, if a Cancer woman grew up under any kind of food deprivation or like she just grew up poor, it will affect her. She will do anything for that bowl of like chicken wings, of that bowl of like, of noodles. She'll bust it wide open for that plate, girl. Don't play with me. She's money hungry, ruthless, ruthless. Now, whether it is a Cancer man or a Cancer woman, if you can help it, try not to be working underneath this person. Try not to have them as your manager. Try not to have them as someone you have to work with in a performance based environment, because they're so irrational and ruthless. They will pull one under you and you will not see it coming because of how sweet and demure they look. You'll see it with the men, but with the women, oof, actually other women will see right through that heifer. But like if she's your manager, dear Lord, she's gonna take her emotions out on you and give you a verbal lashing. So, speaking about how she is in business, she be sleeping her way to the top. She like drops those panties. I know like Capricorn is known for sleeping their way up to the top, but Cancer takes it to new and exciting levels, shameful levels. They sleep their way up to the top. Think of Monica Lewinsky with her helmet hair. I swear, all these Cancer women in the hair. But Monica Lewinsky, yes, of course, there's nuance to her story, um, especially viewing it from, this era in time. But she slept her way up to the top. Think of Leona Hemsley. They made a movie about her crazy ass. She was so insane. She was like stealing money, tax evasion, putting it in like her own little pocket, and she was so crazy they made a movie about her. They're workaholics. They're just always, always, always working. Um, and she whinges. She whinges and she whines and she's never at peace. She will always stay complaining, complaining about something. Nothing is ever right. She's very long-winded. Hence why my video is supposed to stop in like 22 minutes and I'm still talking and I'm not even like 3/4 through. Loud. But she's long-winded and seldom gets to the point. That's why my videos get so long, because I'm extremely long-winded and I love that for myself. Clings on to the past. Clings on to the past. Now the healed Cancer is going to talk about, oh, I'm nostalgic. Bitch, shut your... Don't come up on here and lie. Don't do that. They cling on to the past and they cannot let go of the past. Now she's been hurt by the past. Oh gosh, it'll show up in different ways. She's very neurotic. She's a busybody. Which a lot of them, when they're dark-sided or in their worst emotional state, will suffer from anxiety. I suffer from anxiety. Love that for me. And they're ruled by fear, so they have phobias. Remember how I talked about Cancers don't get out of their doggone room, eat in their room, stay in their room, and are standoffish? When I was living in Thailand, I developed agoraphobia. Love that for me. Love it. Yeah, she doesn't feel settled. She does not feel settled. So don't you dare break up with her crazy ass on a full moon, because she goes unhinged. Cancer women, literally, they lose the plot when they lose their man. Remember Little Kim, who wasn't even like Biggie Smalls' original OG girlfriend, and how he used to put his hands on her? At the funeral, Mary J. Blige had to hold the side chick because I think Little Kim like jumped on the casket. She was just throwing herself on the floor, rolling all around. The funeral wasn't even about her. She was like the side chick. The person who should have been crying the most was Faith Evans and Biggie Smalls' mother. Or at least even the other side chick who was also there. But Little Kim she just would not let it go. I remember even like back in 2004 or 5 when she came out with that song Lighters Up. Put your lighters up. She was talking about like Biggie's the king and I'm the queen. I'm like, girl, you the side chick. You the side chick? Like, stop all of that. Just stop. They don't ever get over the past, which makes them incredibly damaged and broken partners. Princess Diana was famously neglected by her parents, and because she needed constant reassurance, and Charles was also a philandering liar. Tell me why Princess Diana, whilst pregnant with the current Prince William, the future king, threw herself down a flight of stairs to try and get attention. So Cancer is selfish, and they will hit at your emotions in the most sinister ways. I love Princess Diana, but anyone who purposely throws themselves down a flight of stairs in order to get attention, babe, go speak to your therapist. Pamela Anderson never got over how she grew up, and she just, yeah, she just, ugh. But they tend to over accessorize. Tacky is all hell. Personally, I love looking kind of like messy and stuff. I always wondered why I loved, like hot girl messiness. It's probably on my Cancer placements, because Cancer women are never, especially on the dark end, never put together. They always kind of look almost grimy. Like, Pamela Anderson was pretty, but no one's gonna pretend she didn't look. It looked like you could take, like... I just wanted to give her a bath and just scrub her down. And Little Kim, it looked like she just looked greasy. She just looked greasy. they love that big presentation, hence the big hair. The hair is very much a part of their essence, their personality. They often don't switch it up. But lots of them, like Monica Lewinsky with her helmet hair, Pamela Anderson, Princess Diana with that like big like cut, like that pixie cut that she just did things with. They love their pancake makeup. And for me personally, I was queen of pancake makeup. Although, like, when I do my makeup, I try to, like, make it look like it's basically just foundation caked up on me. Um, Anyone who worked with me can attest to how I would always leave a bit of my love, a bit of my makeup everywhere. But yeah, like, remember Lisa Renna with the plumped up lips and that heavy, like you could take a spoon, girl, and just be like, girl, it's just too much. But yeah, with their dreamy eyes that make them look hella dopey. Now, Cancer is a sign of cloning yourself. They have mastered the art of imitation. You would think Gemini would, but it's actually Cancer. Think of the movie Single White Female. Single white female. Girl, that is a Cancer all day, every day. They literally find their idea of what they think the perfect woman is, and they try to like copy and paste it. And it's just kind of like, this is giving creepy, it's giving weird. Um, when they're healed, they often do it a lot better. Think of Lana Del Rey. She is so melancholy. That's why I love her. But she is just queen of sadness. She just, whew. And it's that greasy sadness. She's all pretty and stuff, but she's out here kissing truckers. Like, it's just, ugh. But going back to imitation, single white lady, Little Kim, and I specifically looked at her chart because her chart is really interesting. Cancer is also ruled by race, prejudice, and like discrimination. Little Kim was a rapper who went from having darker skin tone, dark/brown, to looking like she has vitiligo. She kind of looked Asian though with her slanted eyes. I'm not sure if it was just from the Botox or something, but she just went from looking like, Lil Kim to what she currently looks like, which is kind of like the bootleg version of Faith Evans. And part of the reason I think Little Kim had this issue, now Little Kim had an awful relationship with her dad, and if a Cancer had a bad home life, forget, she gonna be crazy the rest of her life. But even before Biggie Smalls messed her up further, she was already hella broken just from her family life, and she's born on the 11th. That's a master number. It's basically one chasing the other one. One chasing the other one. Her always chasing a man, never finding completion. Gonna be alone when she's about to meet the Lord. But Cancer is ruled by race, and often Cancer women on the dark end are race traders. They are the biggest. Little Kim is just a minor example of how she was a race trader just by, just changing her whole doggone look, lightening her skin tay. And what's interesting is she really did try to make herself look like a Latin woman or like a biracial woman, and it just never gave that. And she even said, she felt like she was a Latino woman trapped in the body of a black woman. And I'm like, just say you want to be white, girl. Like, we'll forgive you. Like, we'll laugh, but we'll forgive you. Now, talking about race traders, there's one Cancer woman who is so interesting. I had to, like, write down, like, a lot of the aspects in her chart that I found interesting. Her name was Stella Goldschlag. Blonde poison. Now, she was born to Jewish parents during, I think she was born around about in the 20s. Yeah, she was about, hold on, when's her birthday? She was born, anyways, she grew up during the time when, like the mustache man got control of Germany and started like bad mouthing Semitic people and started sending Semitic people, autistic people, like LGBT people, people that had dwarfisms to these camps. And I think they were trying to concentrate something. What were they called? Camp for concentrate. Something. Now, during the years 1939 to 1945, the world experienced, a little bit of a kerfuffle where the powers that be were, they were just at each other's throats. Germany was just running up into different places. England was like, oh my gosh. The Japanese were like, Hiroshima. The Americans were like, oh no. So during that period, Stella Goldschmidt, she was a Jewish woman who she was the only child, loved by her parents, spoiled. But her parents were like secular Jews. They didn't have it like that. Her dad was on welfare at one point. So when a lot of the laws started to be enacted, her family suffered. She had to go to a Jewish private school, but her family was poor. She went through scholarships. The other Jewish kids there, oh, they had it like that. They had some shmoney money money. But what they did not have were light blue eyes, blonde hair, flawless skin. And because she was a Cancer woman, she knew how to act it up in front of the men. Now tell me why this little girl, I think this actually happened after her husband, who she met, he was also Jewish. After her husband got sent to those camps of concentration, um, when that happened, they basically got hold of her mother and father. There was another Jewish woman who recognized Stella in all her fabulous blondness and was like, nine, nine, mm-mm. She's Jewish just like us. Don't let the blonde curls fool you. And she was caught. She was tortured um, severely. Severely. Other things were done to her. I'm not really going to go into what those things were. But she was beaten to a pulpit until she became a catcher herself. And then she spent the rest of, that little kerfuffle, the World War, the kerfuffle. She spent, I think it was from it wasn't from 1939, it was from 1943 that she became a catcher herself. And she found all of the Jewish people who had helped her, who had supported her. Because remember, during that time, they were, like Jews for Schmittler. They got sent to the camps of concentration with all the other Jewish people because the mustache man, he didn't care nothing about them. But Stella was useful because she kind of blended into German society because she looked typical, what they considered Aryan, and because she's a Cancer woman and she's a race trader, she was all too happy to get that money to protect her family, um, and like betray so many people. But God, get this, girl, they sent her parents to the camp of concentration. And she still continued to work with that party. She still remained anti-Semitic. Now, Cancer women, they can be the biggest haters. They're just born hateful. Actually, no, they're not born hateful. Circumstances, if they're traumatized, it's easy to evoke that jealousy, that envy. And I think the reason they can come across as being born hateful is they're centered around competition with other women to get a man. So if you always have a man at the center of your priorities, you can never be the friend of another female. They are the biggest pick-me's. They invented being pick-me's. And what's interesting with them as that's just them in relationships, them being race traders, them lightening their skins. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I tried to lighten my skin when I was feeling all insecure because people were saying um mean things about like my skin color. I remember being like a little 11-year-old kid in the bathtub wanting to be lighter with a literal blade. A blade. A blade. And you know it was in water because my cancer ass be loving water, trying to peel my skin off. Like I was some kind of like, I don't know, like orange. Um, yeah, I lived with that. And any comments anyone would ever say about my dark skin, my beautiful chocolate, I would internalize. Um, but that's just, like if I'm gonna rip cancer women apart, I need to rip myself apart. A lot of these things apply to me. Like a lot of these things. That I'm in cancer, like he's working on, if I'm an evolved cancer. An evolved cancer. Um, as mothers, they smother. They literally smother. They literally smother. Like you drown. You drown in them. You drown in their love. They are too clingy. They can be the helicopter mothers that are over involved. They can be the pageant mothers who live vicariously through their children. And sometimes, when they're dark sided smothering types, that baby needs to earn their keep. That's why they're pageant moms. But on the other end, when they're the more neglectful mothers, they tend to be workaholics. Their children are left to their own devices until they need to be reprimanded. And then when the cancer mother does reprimand them, all hell breaks loose. They literally go unhinged on those poor babies and don't have a narcissistic cancer mother. I'd rather deal with a narcissistic Aries mother if I had to be all the way 100. Because, I mean, yeah, narcissistic Aries mothers are tactless as all hell, but narcissistic Cancer mothers, they are more of the dark empath, meaning they want to know all of your pain. Oh, they want to know all of your secrets, but they stay secretive. And they give you this verbal lashing. Cancer is famous for that. And when she's really, really bad, she will let a new man come in and run the show. Change the family religion. Do all those types of things. Now let's talk about them having spicy time. She can be very, very uptight. The Frigidaris. Yeah, like there are parts of her body that are very just off limits. And this ties in with her past. So if she had a previous boyfriend, remember how they live in the past? If she had a previous boyfriend who just put it down like that, a certain part of her body might be closed off to you, or she just won't enjoy it in the same way and it'll feel like she's betraying, her first true love. Now, if she's experienced SA, like me, there'll be parts of her body, birdie, parts of her body that are completely off limits. So for me, my earliest childhood memory, my earliest memory is of being SA'd. They've always been wanting to touch me. I was a pata baby. Like, I was that kid. And that's why I do not like bottom. I just, it traumatizes me literally. And that's why I can only express by, being top. So that's how it works for me. But yeah, they are ruled by the past. And the weird thing is, Cancer women, because they're ruled by fear, they will be with an ugly dude. They will be with an ugly dude. They will be with an ugly dude. What was Princess Diana singing Prince Charles? And I mean, the thing that hurt me the most is this little girl was 18. She was 16 when she met this man who was dating her sister originally, her older sister. And he was much older than her. I mean, when she married him, he was in his 30s, she was 19. What could they have possibly had in common? But she had this like vision of, oh, he's my Prince Charming. I'm like, no, no, he's not, girl. He's Camilla Parker Bowles, Prince Charming. Ooh, and they're nasty. They're nasty in that bedroom. So they get with ugly dudes if they know they're going to be loved. Love is a big thing. Like, if I say a Cancer woman with an extremely ugly guy who's like 20 years, 30 years older than her, he probably has money and he's taking care of her financially, and he probably has the time to listen to her long-winded, painful stories about life. She loves whinging. So, like, she'll be with a Pisces guy, she'll be with a Pisces guy who already has money, because we know Pisces men don't work. They're usually stoners. But she'll be with, like, a Taurus. She'll be with a Virgo. She'll be with a Scorp. She'll be with these, these softy signs. Even Capricorn, believe it or not. But the issue with her in Capricorn is he doesn't validate her, and then she sits off and she cries. So yeah, mentally they're extremely unhinged, very, very delusional, they are the queens of Delululand. But like, you know how like in the last video where I talked about astrology, I talked about Cancer man is the pimp of the zodiac. Cancer woman is the bottom bitch of the zodiac. She is your ride or dear. You know what I mean? Like ride or like we gone together. She is the Bonnie to your Clyde. Except if a new Clyde comes along and he has some tissues, a napkin for and a big old shoulder for her to like cry on. And he's got some shmoney. She's gonna be his bottom bitch. Cancer women are prone to mental illness and literally losing their minds. I want you to think of Lindsay Lohan, who exhibits some of the worst dark-sided traits when it comes to being emotional. Lindsay literally had a mental breakdown in front of us. Why on earth in the Bimbo Summit did she jump into Paris Hilton and Britney Spears like two-person car like they knew each other like that? She loses her mind. Princess Diana, no one can tell me that woman did not like face some sort of mental illness. And Princess Diana, guys, come on. I loved her, but she did the most. They lose their minds. Another dark-sided Cancer woman, I mean, we have to talk about her. Wendy Williams, one of the darkest of the darkest. With her, like, overdone makeup looking tacky as a mofo. Obsessed with that Kevin Hunter talking about, it's good in Hunterville. Wendy, how you doing? How you doing, girl? You're not doing well because you lost that mind. Wendy, I don't like Wendy. Don't like Wendy. She made fun of way too many people. So when Cancer is basically unevolved, she's just like a mess. She's just a mess. She is just a mess. Very dark, very sinister energy. Actually, I wrote so many notes about this. Controlled by money. Out here looking a mess. And like Betty Draper, she is that kid in a grown person's body. Hoarding like no one's business. I'm a hoarder. I keep old Barbie dolls. Anything she deems as valuable, she will hoard. But the weird thing is, Cancer is ruled by the home. And there's often this image of, perfect domestic goddess. Not always if she is the one who hoards food. The one who's a straight up, like, hoards everything to the point you can't move around the house. No, she's dirty as all hell. She's pretty on the outside, but dirty. You can tell that Lisa Rim is dirty though. No one can lie to me. Like I can see through her. Like all that makeup, nah, girl. And also, when she's super super dark sided, she'll have a lot of pent up schmuck energy. She can like be gross like that. She can be like peering through windows. Um, she can just be like everything Little Kim sings about. I have no doubt in my mind that she does. Oh yeah, oh yeah. She's just being honest, y'all. Yeah, when they're depressed, they're really dirty. They don't wash. They're just stanka. And the secret, oh, Cancer is also extremely vain. They can be ruled by extreme vanity, especially when trying to catch a man. Catch a man. And lastly, some honorable Cancer female match mentions are the Maori twins. Remember how I talked about how they're race traders? I always thought it was interesting that the two girls, they do operate with the number two number in numerology, and I think they were born on the 2nd of July, if I'm not incorrect. One of them literally married a Caucasian man, and the other married a black man, and they have a white father and black mother. They literally, it's almost as though they made some kind of conscious decision, and you can kind of see how, who was the goofy one whose goofy ass went to go marry that white conservative man? Tamara, the one who was like dumb on the show. I think it was Tamara Mowry Housley. I think it was Tamara. She went on and she married this man, and he's just been like clowning black people like all the time, and she's like this domestic goddess like next to him, like everything's okay. And I'm like, no, Betty Draper, go talk to your twin sister. She's out here being sad. And Tia was the hot one, the one who married the black dude. Oh, and her husband was so fine. And the sad thing is, I think with Tia and Tamara's whole like, well, Tia's marriage with that black dude that she was with, everybody could see that she was actually just being irrational and too sensitive. And now she's talking about missing him. I'm like, girl, don't do that. Don't do that. Stop it. And Lindsay Lohan, definitely dark sided Cancer. She's still crying about the fire crotch name that, Paris Hilton's friend called her back in 2005. I'm like, Lindsay, you're a mother now. And also being a race trader. Y'all remember Lindsay when she was smacked down by, I think this Russian or Arab person, and she was speaking in some fake, like, Russian accent, talking about race traders. Cancers are highly impressionable. I grew up in South Africa. I grew up in it with a black family, but I, was a Mormon. I had a lot of American friends from the Midwest, and I sound like I'm from the Valley sometimes. Highly impressionable race traders at their worst. At their best, you'll be consumed by their love. At their worst, they are a Cancer that will slowly take everything from you. Now, if you know you're not a sensitive person, if you know you're not sensitively inclined, throw that crusty crab back into the ocean. Don't deal with her. You cannot handle the intensity of her emotions. And I only say this, if you have the mental wherewithal to deal with a Scorpio or a Cancer, voila, voila, look at you. If you know you don't, if you know like emotionally you're not equipped to deal with the waves of feelings, it's best to let them like sink in their own ocean of depression before you get sucked into it. And I don't care what nobody tells you. Cancer is a disease that unalives you. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my video. It was supposed to be 22 minutes, but I feel like I did tell y'all that Cancer females are long-winded. So now you know in my next video, if I'm being long-winded, it's my dark-sided Cancer traits coming out. I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, that each sign is heavily influenced by the day they were born. They're in numerology, as well as other placements in their chart. One of the reasons I don't always come across as being very shy is not my star sign, but my north node is in Leo. Not Leo Betung. Look at me living in the past like a Cancer. My north node is in Aquarius. And my south node is in Leo. The past. The past. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Anyways, I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning into my video. Bye.